This is Steve Colano, and this is Confidential Remarks. Open any professional feed on a Tuesday morning, and you will see the exact same posts recycled across hundreds of accounts. The script is identical, the stock photos match, and eventually all the reassurances blur together into a chaotic wall of noise. When your content could have easily come from any competitor in your market, you broadcast a specific damaging signal. You are interchangeable. You give the audience zero reason to choose you specifically. This data outlines the exact penalty for sounding like everyone else. Without a distinct point of view, you are forced to compete on price, availability, and luck, variables you can't control. Clients do not pay for information. Information is free and abundant. They pay for a perspective, a judgment call, and a professional who is seen enough to form an actual opinion. Standing out against the consensus is the only way to avoid commoditization, but surviving that move requires a specific engineered craft. The most common way people try to stand out is by picking a fight. They drop a hot take, watch the engagement numbers spike, and repeat the cycle. Look at the blue path. The cheap contrarian attacks for attention. Outrage requires escalation, eventually exhausting the audience and damaging the brand. The thoughtful contrarian follows the tan path. By revealing a hidden cost in conventional wisdom, they earn trust and build compounding authority. Two people can disagree with the exact same industry standard. One builds a highly paid following, while the other loses clients and retreats. The difference is the structural architecture of the argument. That architecture starts with a counterintuitive first step, the generous concession. Before you introduce any disagreement, you explicitly agree with the logic of the consensus you are about to critique. When readers sense a disagreement coming, they brace themselves to defend their beliefs. Fully acknowledging the merits of the popular position creates the cognitive openness you need for your argument to land. The reader has to feel heard before they will hear you. Once the reader's open, you introduce step 2, the turn. The temptation here is to go for a maximum contrast reversal, telling people everything they know is wrong. This framework suggests rotating just 1 degree instead. Rather than claiming Zillow is bad, you qualify the belief. Zillow is a threat, just not to good agents. This reframes the consensus as incomplete rather than false. Shifting the lens by 1 degree reveals a clearer, more accurate reality without forcing the audience into a defensive war. Of course, a 1 degree turn without checkable evidence is just an edgy opinion. Every contrarian position lives or dies on step 3, the receipt. A receipt is a hard number, an institutional report, or a verifiable case study from your own closed files. Specificity creates credibility because specific claims require the reader to engage with reality. Then comes step 4, the move most professionals are too nervous to make, the repel. You explicitly name the specific audience that your insight does not apply to. Naming who you are not for signals confidence. It acts as a filter that turns away bad fit clients while making the ideal audience feel the recognition that begins a professional relationship. Combining unassailable proof with strict boundary setting creates a high trust, pre-qualified client before a sale call ever even happens. To keep your content an asset rather than a liability, follow the rule in this warning box. Critique systems, business models, and incentive structures. Never name individuals or specific firms in a negative context. A structural critique scales and invites intellectual agreement. Personal attacks only create target dynamics that distract from the insight and invite legal risk. You also have to make sure contrarianism doesn't become your entire identity. For every position you challenge, publish 2 or 3 posts about what you actively build or recommend. True authority is generated by identifying flawed systems while simultaneously demonstrating a functional, superior alternative. You do not have to invent these positions. They are already embedded in your own work history. Audit your last 2 years of client results and identify the moments where conventional wisdom failed. Those instances where you had to adapt to get the result are your strongest contrarian territory. These statistics validate the ROI of proprietary insights. A post tied to your own data is inherently yours and cannot be replicated by a competitor. Because it is evidenced, it generates roughly 3 times more trust signals than general advice. Stop performing consensus and start publishing what your actual outcomes show. The audience that needs your specific expertise is already looking for the things you have been afraid to say. This has been Confidential Remarks.